Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Karen Lavender Clothesline, and in today's video we're going to talk about a few different ways to sell on eBay. So many of you know that have been with me for a while that I am a full-time reseller, selling 8 years full-time on eBay to support myself. I also make these YouTube videos, which brings in a little money. But today we're going to talk about the different ways to sell on eBay. Now, when I started selling on eBay, I just jumped in. I ran to the thrift store. I bought like 100 items and I was off like a shot. I didn't give a lot of thought to the way that I was going to sell. I figured I'm going to pick up items, I'm going to list them, and I'm going to ship them out. Done. And then as I started to really meet other resellers, it was very interesting to me that there were so many different ways to sell on eBay. So if you were looking to learn about different ways to sell on eBay, or maybe you're selling as a long-time eBayer, today we're going to talk a little bit about the crazy ways to sell on eBay and which ones we think are the best methods. So to get right into it, you guys know I am all about going to different sources and picking up basically crazy things, vintage things, things that catch my attention, things that are way too big that I really don't want to ship, but I put my big girl pants on and get it done. And that is how I sell. My business model is long-term, kind of like feed the pipeline, list it and forget it. Meaning when I find an item, like this Santa here, I see him, I say, oh yeah, absolutely yes, I'm getting that Santa. I paid $3.99 for Santa. And then I photograph him and list him and kind of forget about Santa sitting on a basement shelf in my house until Santa sells. Now, I price my items competitively, but I get to price them a little bit higher for a lot of them because there aren't a lot of that item on the market, mostly. Now, I do sell clothing and some of it is small brands, so it might be Chico's, there might be a lot in that category. But there are a lot of items in my store. You can look at my eBay store, Lavender Clothesline, that fit into the business model I'm talking about today, and that is long tail. So what I'm saying is I don't expect my items to sell quickly. My items can take over a year to sell, and I'm okay with that. As a long tail seller, in my opinion, you need three things. You need patience, you need capital to invest that you don't have to try to get your money back out of the items that you're listing, get it out quickly. And you need the space to store your items because most likely you're going to be buying quite a few items to list. So with those three things, patience, storage space, and capital, if you are a long tail seller and you can find enough interesting items, enough items that people might want, you can really make a great living on this income. And I am proof of doing that. So not only do I pick up old Santas, I pick up wallpaper, I pick up old jewelry, nylon stockings that are vintage, anything that I think is going to appeal to a certain group of buyers. Now, having said that, my group of buyers are probably a little bit smaller. I'm kind of niching down in those things. So the buyers wanting my items might be far and few between compared to when you list a popular item. So recently I talked about meeting a guy in the thrift store, and we are still dating. His name is Roger. And when we got into talking, we're all about business, talking business all the time. When we got into talking about feedback, he said his feedback score was over 100,000. And I kind of looked at him and I said, do you mean 10,000? He said, no, 100,000. Now, he's been selling 20 years, but Roger's business model is super interesting to me because we don't have any similarities in the way we sell besides going to thrift stores, which we have been doing a lot. We have been shopping. In fact, yesterday we went to, I don't know how many thrift stores or how long we were there. We did get some lunch in between. But the items that we're looking for are much different. Roger sells mainly in, I'm going to say, under 5 categories. And after 20 years, he knows what sells. Now he is what I call a quick flip. He is listing a lot of items. He's very quick at listing, and he's putting them, almost all of them, or the majority of them, on auction, 99 cents, which just blows my mind. I didn't think many sellers were doing that anymore. But he will pick up, say, 30 to 40 items in a trip, and he will start the majority of them at 99 cents with a set shipping price. And within that 7 days, almost all of those items sell. So every day, 7 days a week, he has items ending, and most of them have bids. Now, a few of them might sell at the 99-cent price point, which you're going to take a loss because you probably paid $2 or $3 at least for the item. But the majority of the items make a great profit, and people get excited for the bidding, because who doesn't want to put a bid in on a 99-cent item? So my items are priced high and I run a sale. Like this Santa, I think I made him $100 for this vintage Santa, because there aren't too many out there, and I know for a fact that I can get that kind of money for Santa. But Roger is selling items, very good, higher end sporting equipment, sporting clothing, games, different things that are very popular. And then he starts them at 99 cents and lets them go. And many times items will have, 30 or 40 bids on it, and they'll finish at like $40 or $50 from the 99-cent price point. So naturally, he has to list a lot because his items are coming in and going out very quickly. Whereas my item, I might pick up Santa and 30 other things, and I might have those things for over a year. But generally, my items will bring a higher price point, hopefully. All right, so those are the two different business models. There are many business models to talk about. Leave a comment down below if you have found a business model that is really working for you. I personally know a lot of sellers that do retail arbitrage. They just run from Walmart to Walmart and pick up different items and sell them, when it's fully new items. I know resellers that do only vintage clothing, beautiful clothing that they curate and put on gorgeous mannequins, and that brings a high price. But again, you're waiting for that buyer with that size for that dress or that item. So, all right, so I just wanted to share that today. Leave a comment down below of what type of seller you are if you are selling, or what kind of business model is the most appealing to you. Long tail, crazy items like this one. Or would you rather be a seller that picks up items and puts them on auctions to have them move quickly? Now, not every seller uses auction. I have to put that disclaimer there. So many resellers are picking up things like Nike sneakers, cell phones, all those popular things that really blow out of the store in under 24 hours. But if we could all do that, I'm sure we would choose that model of high-priced items that move very quickly, that are just found in abundance. Okay, so in this part of the video, I'm going to show you a few clothing pieces and maybe one other type of piece that I picked up that will give you a good example of what I've been talking about. So yesterday I was in the thrift store and a new rack of clothing came out, and I'm all about that. I love to see what's coming out new on the floor. If you didn't know, when you're in a thrift store, you can ask the employees if you're allowed to look at items that come out on the fresh racks, we call it. Some thrift stores do not allow you to look at the items until they're fully, put where they belong. Some thrift stores are happy to have you look at those racks because then it's less work for them to do. So it's always good to check with the store. Most stores are fine with it. But a new rack rolled out and I had checked with the employee and they said, oh yeah, help yourself, less work for me to do. And I found this dress. So I'm going to stand back so you can see it. And if you can see the label, hopefully my lighting, let me try turning this lighting down and see if that is better for the tag. This is called Wenger. So this is a dress made in Austria and I am all over it. The buttons are gorgeous. The print is terrific. This plaid. It has a puff sleeve that's gathered. I mean, can't you just picture somebody wearing this to a festival or in cosplay? I'm not quite sure what character they would be. But I don't think twice about an item like this. Now, naturally, a dress made in Austria that's almost like a costume dress might be a little bit of a long tail sell, but I really think this dress is going to do terrific. Now, a lot of times I do run comps right in the store so that I can see what I'm talking about as far as picking it up, of how long it's going to take to sell. And if there are hardly any, I know I can command a really good price for it. So I just love this darling dress. I think this dress will also fit into cottagecore, and because it's true vintage, it might be a long tail because a lot of people want brand new in our culture today. But I think more and more vintage items, what used to be long tail, is now coming into more popularity. So I just love this dress, and that is why I picked it up. Again, this next item is not a quick mover for me. It is a men's sport coat. I don't sell a lot of dress clothing for men. I mean, I do dress shirts, but I don't really have a lot of trousers. Dress shoes, I think I have more loafers, I'm gonna say, than I do dress shoes, except Allen Edmond. We all know I have a love affair with the brand Allen Edmond. But when I saw this jacket and my hand ran down the sleeve, I knew that it was good quality, and sure enough, this is Andrea Villard. So that is what the tag looks like. This jacket was made in Paris. Just stunningly beautiful, $7.95. Now I am waiting for the man in this size to want this jacket, very long tail. I could have this easily a year or two. But again, it doesn't bother me. I'll pay in $8. And right now I haven't really honed in on my comps to know what this will sell for. But off the top of my head, I'm thinking $60 or $70. It's in beautiful shape, very clean, double-breasted, and that's why I said yes to it. Next up is an item that I saw in a baggie. Yes, please. Wasn't this exact baggie, but it was a baggie from Goodwill. It had the price on it. I paid $2.99 for these. These are some sort of something. I have no idea what this is. They're lion heads. And there's some sort of buckle. Now this lion head, there's 4 of them, 2 of one kind, 2 of another. I think this is Anne Klein. It reminds me of Anne Klein's lion logo. And if you know what these are, I would love to hear your opinion. So I'm going to show you the back of it. See if we can get a good shot on that. It almost looks kind of like a buckle to something. But there's 4 of them, and they came in the bag together. It looks like the owner of her clothing item clipped this off, maybe a cardigan sweater. The buttons are quite heavy. So here is the other one. Let me put them down so I can show it to you. And on the back, you can see there's like a square, well, there's 2 square loops and a hook. So my point is, sometimes I don't even know what I'm buying. I have to put question marks in my title because I can't find what the thing is. But I go ahead and buy it anyway if the buy-in price is low enough. But you can be sure I'm going to have these in my store for a while unless there's a buyer out there just waiting for gold-toned lion head buckle things. Not quite sure what to call it. But that is a very good example of long tail. This is not going to fly out of my store. It's not like 100 people are just waiting for me to list this. But in the end, these things always sell. And that's my model, that everything eventually sells. It just takes patience. I don't think there's been one thing that I haven't been able to sell. You know what? There is. I've had one item for a very long time, and I'm going to show it to you. All right, so here he is. You see this guy here? I must have had him for 4 years, I'm gonna say, at least 4 years. I bought him in a big lot of garden gnomes, dwarves, all those kind of fairy creatures, and most of them were garden statuary. I sold them through, and this guy is a bank, and he's missing his bottom stopper. And I have had him forever. In fact, you know what? After this video, I have to check if it's still even listed, because we all know sometimes our listings fall off of eBay, and it could be that's why he's not selling. Sometimes something will be very long in selling, and I have to go in and check that I have filled in correct information for the shipping, because when an item is super heavy, sometimes the shipping will be more expensive than the item, and then the item will just sit there. But yep, I have had him for 4 years, and if he's listed, I'm just leaving him listed. I will check his description and what's going on with him. So he has his pot of gold and he is just super happy. So I guess it's like a retirement savings or a but doesn't bother me a bit. I probably paid, I don't even remember, $3? That's a guess. But so sometimes long tail can turn into really long tail. You guys know I love Scavenger Life, the Scavenger Life. This is Jay and Ryan. I went down to Virginia to visit them and they are long tail. Some of their items are in their store for 5 or 6 years, but then they sell and they get a very good price for them. He's probably listed for, I'm gonna say $15 or $20, so not a high price, but there it is. That's my truth disclaimer. Also, with being a long tail seller, I do mix in items that I find as I'm looking for the unique and original. So it's not like I go to a thrift store and will only buy long tail, vintage, very unique, odd items. I pick up items that will move through quicker at the same time. Why not? So I'm throwing everything in my cart. So as you can see, these are some of the items I picked up yesterday. Vineyard Vines t-shirts. These should move fairly quickly. This is Flea. This is an Anthropology top, very pretty. That'll probably move fairly quick. Again, Anthropology Moon River. I will do well with that one. It's like a baby doll blouse. And we all know this logo, Tommy, a big old Tommy logo. Would have been better if it had a flag. So those are a few items, the first items that are very unusual, that are going to take a long time to sell. I wanted to give you an example of what I was talking about for those of you who might be new to reselling. And if you get time, look at the different models. I'm going to say there's probably maybe 5 basic. People that buy online like large pallets and they're selling whatever's in the pallet. A lot of times they're Amazon returns, things like that. There are people that are flipping retail arbitrage like we talked about. They go to Walmart, they buy out the game section when it goes on sale or it gets clearanced and they sell that way. Long tail, most long tail people are like me. They have very odd items, unique, vintage. You're waiting for that certain buyer that will buy those items. Roger's way of selling, which is probably the most popular way of selling, very quick flip, moving items in and out very quickly. And then the last one, I think, are people that don't really own the items. They have the business model where they're just drop shipping. So if you don't know what drop shipping is, I won't go into it here. You guys can look that up and see an explanation of it. A lot of platforms frown on this, but it's very heavily done. All right, guys, stay tuned for high profit thrift finds of items that were pretty much unusual. Surprise, surprise. And as always, go out and get what's yours. A few of these sold items you might have seen me post on Instagram. I always like to report back to you guys of what type of items I'm picking up and what kind of profit they're bringing. So the next few items are going to be items that I chose because they're so unusual. I sell the unusual, it is clear to see, and most times it brings very good profit. This is a leather strap with 30 jingle bells. It's a horse sleigh set of bells, I'm going to call it. $100. This was a quick flip, which most items that are unusual do not flip this quick, but this was beautiful. Now I did leave it in the condition I found it in. It had quite a bit of mildew and just needed a really good cleaning, but I left that up to the buyer since this was a true antique. Next up is a pair of jeans. Now you're probably saying, well, why are jeans unusual? I have never heard of this brand. I ran a comp, I didn't find too many comps, but look at the embroidery work on it. How could you turn this away? $42.25 and I paid $7. Next up is a shirt that I've had for quite a while, definitely long tail. This is a shirt from Honolulu, Hawaii. This is vintage Tory Richard, $38.27 and I paid $3.25. Here is a woman's house coat. I picked up, I think, 6 or 7 of these. My buy-in price was either $2.50 or $3.50. Almost every seller I know would pass over house coats. Not me. These are great. What's not to love about a snap-down house coat with teacups embroidered on the pockets? $20. Here is a gown that I have had, I'm going to say, for at least 3 years. I picked up a large lot of gowns for Mother of the Bride and a few wedding gowns. $110. This was the least profit that I made on any of them. Many of these gowns went for over $200. Very heavy, well-made, gorgeous gowns. And the buyer did purchase it and asked me to ship it right out, which I was glad to do. I think I might have one left, not even sure, but these gowns, most of them were long tail. But I am super happy with $110 because I paid $10. Here is a rabbit. I've shown this on Instagram, and I think I pulled shipping on this item with you guys, $40. And I don't know that he's very unusual, but I have never seen a doorstop like this, so I included him in this high profit thrift find. Here is Wingspan. This is another item I recently pulled down in my basement when I was pulling items on a video, $40. Have you ever heard of Wingspan? I haven't. Here is the beautiful Chinese embroidered silk jacket. If I could just find one of these a day, I'd be very happy. $202.50. This thing is gorgeous, and truthfully, this was not long tail. This sold very quickly. Here is a dish that I have had for quite a while. This is vintage Sequoia ware. It was a pineapple ceramic chip and dip, and definitely mid-century modern, $45 it brought. Here is one of the dresses that I picked up when I was in Virginia, went to visit Jay and Ryan, and I went thrifting in their thrift store right next to their coffee shop, and I think I bought 6 or 7 of these types of dresses, $35.99, so I've probably had this for a couple of months now. Here are some rackets or paddles. I pick these up every time I find them, and they're in very good condition, $24.99. Not so much a long tail item for this one, but I have had paddles in my store, the same set, for over a year before they sold. Here is a dress that I saw another buyer pick up, and it was one of those times where in my mind I'm like, please put the dress down, please put the dress down, and she did. And it brought $30, which I thought it would go a little bit higher, and I've had this for, I'm going to say, over a year. Here is a carved statue. This is, I think this was a faux wood. The base was wood, $36. Next up is a little lithograph that I have had, I'm going to say again, over a year, $46.80. This is called The Lucky Cricket by Sarah Lynn Richards. And again, I thought this would go quicker, but it did not. But I held on to it. $46.80 was a great price. So that is another edition of High Profit Thrift Finds. This one kind of focusing on items that I've had for quite a while. Thanks so much for watching. Go out and get what's yours.